think audio is working. Okay. Let's testing. Let's see. Everything should be fine now. Alright, I think audio is working. Okay. Alright. Starting chapter 6 of my series of hitting class Jolt. Alright. Let's see. First thing on the list of my series of hitting. Alright. Okay, let's see. Well, to begin, where were we? For a recap. You know what? Let's just do a full recap because this is probably the first stream for many people. And so, essentially, I am writing a book, or not really. Well, a web series, or trying to at least. And all of this will be published on royalroad.com and Recky Tales Production under the same name, same title. You should be able to find it, hopefully. And okay, recap. So essentially, this is like, well, to make it easy for everyone, it's is essentially all your all the your classic tower climbing power fantasy kind of a manhwa or light novel in this case. But for what I wanted to, for example, yeah, what am I saying? I'm so bad at recapping. Okay, you know what? Let's just start from the beginning. So we follow our main character named Shin Jun Woo, who's just a simple vendor, a street vendor, who incidentally become who accidentally becomes a chosen by the tower. Well, not really chosen. He he was accidentally chosen by the tower, and essentially he is now on. I am so bad. This is such a terrible recap. Uh, so chapter one just covers him. This is normal daily life, just as a street vendor, just selling food and just to his rather good customers, as well as just talking about the world, just like essentially some world building of just multiple different colored towers around the whole around Earth, each with its own theme in a sense. And he was deaf. He is essentially he wasn't chosen, but he is what is known as a jumper, which is essentially a person who steals a ascendance gate and going into a tower. And as a jumper, you don't get any of the ascendants, which is what I'm calling the chosen people, or like the ones with given special powers and stuff like that. Because you ascend the tower, ascendant. Yeah, simple. And he is what is classified as a jumper, and essentially a tower jump or a tower jumper is the full name, but just jumper is also just colloquially known. Essentially, jumpers are people who jump into the portal or the warp gate thingy that is usually meant for to just take a chosen ascendant or a person who was chosen to become an ascendant. And when you become a jumper, you don't get any of the special abilities as a jump as an ascendant, because when you're chosen as an ascendant, that essentially means the system. I'm just calling it the tower system or just system because I couldn't really think of a good name. But essentially, the system does does like an algorithm slash research on people who basically, and it basically is like, it kind of is, I guess, since I'm still working on it, but it's really pretty much just choosing random people and then assigning them a traits or really special skills based on person's personality, background, skills, etc., etc. Like essentially, you're starting like giving a class based on yeah they're giving special skills slash classes based on those research traits like background, personality, etc. As I said earlier, I am crap at doing this recap, but essentially because that it is so like starting out is so relatively defined, a jumper basically does not match. Like imagine you trying to, I guess like it's like an ID. You can't really use another person's ID. Well, you can, but like it's illegal. But you get the point. Like basically, because it doesn't match, you basically become you're essentially a normal person in the tower, and what and basically that causes the whole tower system to kind of malfunctioning, glitch in a sense, and that's what causes because Shinju, well, how Shinju ended up becoming a jumper is because as he's going home, he meets up with a neighbor and her kid. It turns out that the system has chosen her kid to become an ascendant, but a kid can like the kid's like 5. He's not making it out. So Shinju essentially sacrifices himself and jumps into the portal and is basically warped to a random place, a random floor on a random tower. And right now he is, and then he essentially has to survive on said floor, or else well, it's either that or survive or die. And as he survives, oh yeah, before we continue the story, how a jumper becomes there's a chance that there's a way that a jumper can become an ascendant, and to that is essentially you have to you have to beat you have, you have to either defeat or you have to defeat or kill a boss, or at least a a boss. How do I explain this? Because it's like a boss, mini boss, like basically a boss type, a monster, I guess is the way. Because like essentially, because or at least the boss on a floor, I guess any kind of boss. It could be literally level, well, depending on how lucky you are as a jumper, you could either be on the first floor, possibly. That's like probably best case scenario, or just like a lower floor. Or if you're on a higher floor, you're kind of screwed because you're not doing anything. But right now, as luckily Shinju is not unprepared in a sense, or at least he has at least some ways to fend for himself. Mostly just his vendor cart, which has food, like some essential survival stuff, mostly just food and water, and some bit of tools, but mostly just his kitchen knife and just like lots of pots and pans and stuff, but not really meant to defend himself too well, at least. And so he basically, in the worst time, and it's also at night too. So he's like, wow. Luckily, he's in a forest, so it's not too bad. There's like plenty of coverage. So as he's taking a couple branches and some dead leaves, he parks his cart in he parks his cart like in the middle of a forest. Luckily, these trees are big, so their roots can literally cover. Like imagine, like think of like think of like a finger for like Lord of the Rings. Like those trees are huge, and like you know their roots can literally you could literally hide between the roots. Yeah, imagine that for Junwoo and his cart. Like he could literally park and like just cover himself up, and he can kind of hide in between the roots or the protruding roots, you know. And as he's hiding, he and of course he also as he's doing that, he's also made a wooden spear, just you know your classic. Just take a large branch, just cut a point, start shaving one of the ends into a point, you know, and that's essentially what all he has at the moment, or at least at this point of the recap. As he's as he essentially camps out for the night, he hears rustling, screeching, animal noises that are coming closer and closer. And then in front of him pops out four creatures, or really three creatures, but two are the same. But it's four in total. One of the creatures we don't learn until a bit later, but I will just spoil it for now since it's already been seen. Is essentially imagine imagine two. Okay, so okay, you know, let's go on the two. What would be yeah? So imagine essentially what is imagine a baby triceratops about the size of a medium to small dog, but then like give him make him also a beetle in a sense, like or a bug, like give him like insect cover in an insect shell, some bug like features, but for the most part, it's just a dinosaur in a shell, a baby triceratops in a shell with six legs, and that creature, which was later revealed after a bit after like a whole fiasco. After it is known in I have named it a Hercules tricorn, and it's also a baby, but it's a juvenile. But you know, you get the point. And essentially, it is fighting with a little a little lizard slash larva. Like imagine like the I guess like imagine like a caterpillar or a larva, as in the name, and a lizard, like the tub, like imagine like essentially a fat tubby lizard with legs, with with like four legs on a larva. Of course, it's like cute looking too, but so it's not like ugly looking. And that and its identity is revealed to be a a Draco ant larva. Yeah, so and essentially what they're running and these two are running away slash defending themselves from what is essentially our rap raptors slash dromaeosaurs, or just so imagine just like Jurassic Park velociraptors but with like um grasshopper slash crickets features, like or katydids, like big large wings. They're I mean they're large wings that like protrude from their back. They don't really use them for well actually no, they do fly actually, but for these they essentially they're just giant grasshopper raptors or cricket raptors, but you know like in that family of insects, and they're of course as predators they're trying to eat these two. Seeing that they're in somewhat danger, Shinju decides to help them by essentially trying to help by jumping in to attack the raptors. Unfortunately, the raptor is a bit too strong for him, but oh yeah, oh yeah, why? God damn it, I'm so bad at recapping. I can't remember my own book. But essentially, they but okay, so let me set the scene. Let me set the scene again. So the baby trike and the little dragon larva are right are next to come out of the brushes running away and defending themselves, and then those two are followed in by one of these bug raptors. And of course, because both of their attentions are on that raptor, another one comes from behind them, running straight at them, like as an ambush. Junbu, seeing the ambush, immediately, like, something told him, or some form of instinct forced him to go out and try to and defend help these two small critters. And as they and essentially he doesn't he wasn't able to do much because, well, he was just a normal human being in like this world. So he tries to attack. The raptor sees it because, well, the reason why he was able to see it was because Junwoo, knowing that he couldn't make it in time or won't be able to uh, run fast enough to defend or block or intercept, essentially, last second thought, shouts out just loudly just to get like everyone's attention. And this of course works because the raptor momentarily uh stops all its momentum as to like comprehend what the heck just happened. And as and that moment of delay gave Junwoo a shot at to defend the babe the two babies. And of course, unfortunately, the problem is because the because he was going for the raptor, but the raptor's attention is on him. So the raptor sees the attack, dodges, and just goes for like a full tail swipe, knocking down Junwoo. But because of the distraction that he was able to provide, the baby, the dragon larva, was able to a well. This was it was then revealed that the dragon larva knew magic and used that magic to attack, to essentially to throw magic missiles, multiple magic missiles to hit. Well, they're gonna be magic missile. I just haven't revealed that part yet, but they're essentially magic missiles. Excuse me. That causes the second raptor, the ambush raptor. He gets hit. He basically is like, okay, we gotta run. Like, cause plan failed, run away. The second raptor was still having like a was still fighting against the trike. The trike was holding him off because he had a big shield head, you know, as Triceratops do. So that after seeing that the plan failed, it basically backs off as well and runs away. Now seeing that now that the coast is clear, Uwu essentially makes friends with these two. They start a fire, they have food, and then they sleep for the rest of the night. The next morning, they wake up. Junwoo, they have breakfast, and then Junwoo, of course. Oh wait, no wait, I forgot. That he no, I forgot. They had dinner, and then Junwoo basically makes his makes his makes a new weapon because, well, the spear could work, but he wasn't good with it yet, at least. So think of the idea. He essentially just takes a he essentially just thought about it. So since I'll miss with 1 point, why don't I just have multiple points on a spear? So he essentially takes another branch of like a way bigger branch this time with multiple twigs sticking out. And instead of cleaning off the twigs off, he essentially turns them into more and more a thorns or more spear points, essentially creating what is known as the well, in English it's, or in Korean it's nangsong. I'm butchering that, nangsong. And hold on, I'll bring it up. He essentially, what? No, wrong friggin' tab. He creates this weapon. Okay, you know what? I did not have that. The nangsong, or is that correct? Yep. This essentially branch also had, also the name is what's the word? Essentially just a spear with multiple tips. It's also there's a there's a Chinese name. There's Lingjiang. I'm butchering these I'm butchering the pronunciation, but or it's known as. Of course, he doesn't exactly know the name of these, but what they are though is, but yeah, this is sort of like this, but my version is just like, or at least his version is a lot more shorter, I guess. It's more like not not too, well, at least my version of it is not this uh extended, I guess. Like more controlled, I guess. Slightly more controlled, at least. But he basically sharpens a bunch of twigs and then like, just so like he has like essentially a spear wall in front of him now. And then his second weapon, of course. Oh yeah, actually, it kind of looks, in a sense, it kind of also looks like this, which is, I forget what the name of this thing is, but it's not like, imagine this, but also, but like combined with the actual practical, because this, I'm pretty sure that's more. This is more what's the word? More meant for ritual, I believe. I don't think it was ever actually a weapon, you know. But anyways, the second weapon he had is he basically, but then thinking, well, like, even though he created this, he was like thinking, wait a minute, if I could, even though I do have this, there's no guarantee that I could do good, regardless. So what he ends up thinking is like, okay, maybe if I can just have something to deter them from attacking in the first place, I'll just use that too. So what he ends up doing is he looks through his stuff, and then he finds his um his pump water his pump spray, which is basically, your classic uh squeeze sprays, spray bottles, but with like but it has like a control, like an actual hand pump on the top. So that way, you can create pressure, you can get like a jet stream or a spray without like having to squeeze the trigger every time. So it has that kind of a spray pump. And he essentially thinks, why don't I just make my own pepper spray? So he mixes gochujang sauce, which is like spicy paste that like a lot of that's used in a lot of Korean cooking. And he also has what he got from a vendor lady, which is lemon chung, or lemon syrup. So yeah, imagine imagine lemons and spice mixed with water and turn into essentially he makes an improvised pepper spray. Of course, like in reality, improvised pepper sprays don't actually work, or at least according to Google AI, because the because most pump sprays actually um don't actually allow, well, like most pump sprays are just really meant for water, or so, and because there is a chance that when you mix stuff with water, especially solids or some more solid liquids, it unless you dilute it properly, it could clog up the spray. But for the sake of this, model, we're just gonna avoid that. Then again, you could probably get away with, you could probably dilute it enough where it's essentially just only liquid. There's no particles or clumps, you know. So yeah, it is possible, but then again, I never tested it out myself, so I can't say for sure. But anyways, he now has that, and then they essentially decide to go to sleep because